We are super excited to bring back the On Your Eating podcast. I know we've been somewhat unreliable these last few months. It's not been easy with living out of our camper, life on the road, and then, of course, our big wedding day. But we are back at it, and what will make our lives easier is hearing from all of you. It's a challenge sometimes to just talk about nutrition. We can give you tips and tricks all day long, but we want to answer your questions. So if you're not already, head over to Facebook, search Own Your Eating Tribe, and request to become part of our tribe, part of our Facebook group, and you can post questions. We take down some great questions and we save them for our weekly podcast. And what's even cooler than that is if you ask a question and we answer it on this podcast, on the Own Your Eating podcast, you are going to be entered to win tons of great prizes from all of our amazing sponsors. And the coming up prize is going to be the Leopard Claw. The Leopard Claw is one of my preferred mobility tools created by my good buddy Troy. It's a great scraping technique that really helps you break down soreness, recover faster, and overall just feel great. You can check it out on the items we love. It's the Leopard Claw, and you receive a free bottle of foam if you use our link. That foam's important because it helps you scrape so you're not just scraping dry skin. And if you use any sort of stim or recovery device, the Leopard Claw is great to prepare your body for that. Roz and I scrape each other all the time. If you're a guy, often leads to some fun activities afterwards. So check it out, the Leopard Claw, and hopefully it will help you recover better. This week's podcast is a little bit unique. Roz is in the garage working out, so I've got my good buddy Ellie Kelly. You may remember her from a few podcasts ago. She lives in Georgia. We crashed at her place. We became fast friends. She's on the podcast. She's flipping the tides. She's going to ask me all about our wedding, all about the holy matrimony that happened last month out in Santa Monica. And of course, we finish with a few nutrition questions. So sit back. If you're at work, you're hanging out, you're on your local ride, listen in, learn all about the wedding, and learn all about Own Your Eating, flexible eating, and our amazing nutrition program. And don't forget, if you have questions for us, hit us up. We want to help. We want to make life easier for you and help you on your nutrition journey. So here we go. Ellie Kelly on the podcast. All right, we have a very special guest. She has been on before, the Misadventures of Ellie Kelly. So, for those of you that don't know, let me give you a brief introduction, Ellie. We met Ellie through Own Your Eating. She worked with Roz as her coach, and when we were on our road trip making our way through Atlanta, we reached out to Ellie and we said, hey, we're nearby. Can we maybe hang out, grab some lunch, dinner? 7 days later, we're still at their apartment, and finally, Jack, her husband, had to kick us out. And if you're unsure how happy Jack was to have us, you have to look no further. If you go on the Own Your Eating Tribe and you search maybe Ellie or Jack or Best Picture Ever, there's a picture of the four of us on their couch. Roz, I, and Ellie all happy, smiling, and Jack is just like, get these two out of here.
I swear he's only the most happy to hear anything about you guys. He was more excited about me talking to you again than maybe even I was. Wow. So we'll take a new picture when y'all come back in January.
No, because I'm telling you, you may not understand. I'm being serious. It's the funniest picture ever. It makes me really laugh every time I see it. It's just, it's one of those pictures that bring you to a specific moment because the four of us laughed so hard that it reminds me of that.
Hey, at least it does something good for you. So we can keep the bad picture of Jack around
and
forevermore.
For those of you that are unsure what our road trip was all about, this is really what it was all about. We were preaching and talking about macros and giving our seminar, but the best part was making new friends. Like, we're going to come back in January or February. Our house is rented. We're hitting the road again, more for fun. But, have our spare room ready, have our, coffee ready to go. We're hanging out.
Y'all, Jason drank at least 8 cups of coffee before we went and did a WOD the last night that they stayed with us, and I was seriously concerned he was going to have a heart attack.
Well, it was free coffee. You guys, at your old apartment, they had that lobby, and
I know.
that's the downfall. Like, if I have just access to coffee all day, I will never stop. But, I've been trying to reel it in. I actually had a client this morning, and, she had a question about caffeine, and she was like, is coffee bad? I was like, I hope not. But I've been better. I try to, no more than 3 is my max, but it's typically 2. I make an espresso in the morning and then an AeroPress in the afternoon. So 2 real cups. Because my old cups were like these 20-ounce mugs. We got this wedding gift of Mr. and Mrs. Macro, and they were huge. They were huge. So anyway, I know you have a trivia night to get to.
We have trivia. You guys have date night. But that's a nice segue there, talking about your wedding gifts.
Are you going to hang out with us? Roz is kind of like in the background right now. She was a little under the weather earlier, but she's a trooper, and she didn't come to the box with me.
I'm trying to kill my germs in the cat.
Yeah, she's spreading her germs elsewhere. I will find. I don't know. Sorry, I go off on tangents, as you know, Ellie. But
I know. I'll keep you back.
do you find that when you live with someone and they start to get sick, you don't get it as often because you've been around it, building up immunity?
I completely agree. Jack and I are never, knock on wood, sick at the same time with the same thing.
Yeah, I think, that's what's really not cool, but you live with someone and you slowly build up that immunity. Like, I never get worried about it, but you reach something like random stranger on the street that blew their nose in their hand and you shake it, that's when you get like the, pig virus.
Like
or whatever.
Ebola, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So anyway, Roz is finishing up her thing, but I like chatting with Ellie, and we posted something last week about, hey, what are some questions you guys want us to answer on the podcast? Because we'd love to bring this weekly, and that's my goal. This is kind of my pet project. Roz just does it because I make her, but I love doing the podcast, so it's nice to have someone to speak to like Ellie, but it's also nice to have some topics. Obviously, nutrition and macros and flexible eating is the umbrella, but I like to have specific questions. So if you happen to be listening, shoot us a message, post in the tribe if you have questions, and we'll do our best to answer it here. But when I posted that, Ellie commented, she was like, forget about nutrition, tell us about the wedding.
Heck yeah, we hear from you. You guys are so good about giving us so much info about nutrition, but you're teasing us with wedding photos and not giving us the full story. So that's what I'm here for today, guys.
Well, the full story about those wedding photos was I got in trouble because we don't have them. We don't actually have them. The photographer, who is a buddy of mine that went to my old box, Albany CrossFit, amazing job all day long, taking, probably thousands of pictures, but he's still editing them, but he shot me like 1 or 2 of them. The rest are just pictures our friends took of us, my sisters, Roz's bridesmaid, but there was the one of us eating a donut, Roz feeding me a donut, which is also our Amazon show background. And then there was the one of us kind of walking through the bubble parade on the way out, and he sent it to me. He's like, I'm still editing, but this is my favorite picture of the entire season.
Oh, that's such a compliment.
It was, but I got in trouble because, he sent it to me, and I actually was in Dubai, and I had like no Wi-Fi. I had just landed, so I was getting like an influx of all my texts and emails and social media notifications that I hadn't gotten on this horrendous, 20-hour flight. And it came through, and I was like, oh man, I want to post that. It's so cool. And I posted it, which was like midnight, like who knows what time it was back here. It was like middle of the night, but I posted it, and then when Roz woke up in our Florida time, it was like, please don't post pictures of our wedding before I get to see them. I was like, okay.
Fair.
Yes.
That is totally fair.
And
Jack was out of town when we got our, 700 wedding pictures back, and he made us go over them one at a time on the phone together because he didn't want me to see them without him.
Wow. That's a life. I got to learn. I got
to
have a sit down with Jack and learn from him. Because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, who cares? But then now, being a husband for over a month, I'm like, all right, honey, I totally understand, even though I didn't understand.
That's the ultimate. That's the line to keep your marriage working. All right.
That's how I do it. That's how I do it now.
understand.
You know,
Exactly.
husbands, if you need some advice from a married man, I'm here for you. But Jack seems to be a little bit better.
I mean, he's got about 10 months more under his belt, so I'm not saying he's an expert.
We got to go out, the four of us, when we're in Georgia, and have like a post-marriage, we became friends too late type of thing, and have like a recreation of our weddings together. That'd be
Let's
fun.
do it. I've still got my dress. It's probably too big on me now after working with you guys, so. But I'm down. Just have Roth pack that big poofy dress of hers.
It's in some shop right now. I don't even know what happens. It's like getting preserved.
Preserved?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I should do that.
yeah, I gotta
Put it
drop
on
her veil off. Actually, the veil is in my car because I was supposed to go yesterday. I never made it.
That happens.
Let's just have a fancy dinner. We'll just sit down. Fancy. We'll have jeans on, not shorts, and let's do it when we're in town.
Jeans, not shorts. Oh man.
So
at least it'll be winter here. It won't be too hot for that.
That'd be great. So tell me, what type of questions do people have? I don't know. To me, it's like, cool, we had a wedding. I tried to share as much as we can. It's important. I think the tribe is a big part of our lives, even though we've not met a lot of people. Like, it was important for us to share that moment because we've kind of grown our relationship in front of everybody. But are there questions you think people had about it?
I absolutely think there are questions people had about it. So I'm going to be selfish and use my own questions I've had about it since y'all got married. And then anybody from the tribe that's interested obviously can post their additional questions, and we'll do maybe a follow-up in a week or two on these. But,
I like it. That's a great plan.
Yeah. So my first one is, what was your biggest surprise from the wedding? Maybe, and this is wedding day specific. So was there a gift Roz gave you that was a surprise, or somebody came, or what was a great surprise on your wedding day?
All right, I have two. I have two surprises. Okay. So the big one is, my father showed up, and not that I have like a strained relationship. My stepmother is battling like a brain cancer tumor thing.
Oh my gosh.
She's doing fine. Like she's crushing it. But because of it, and we found out while we were on the road trip. And
oh, wow.
Because of that, she can't fly. So all along, my father had told us he wasn't going.
Yeah.
And he hadn't planned on it. But then, he told my sister, like literally the week before, that my stepmother's doing okay or well enough that he can go. And which, here's the deal. I'm glad my father was there. We have a normal, healthy relationship. My parents have been divorced for 30 plus years, and we've always said, or at least I have, the next time they're going to be in the same room is either when I'm married or dead. And the idea of me getting married was not a real one, so it was always my funeral. So, with the plan that I would outlive them, but the point is, I was like, this will probably sound bad, but it was almost like a little bit of a relief that
I totally understand. Yeah.
So I go to California with that expectation, like, okay, this is not going to be, I don't have to deal with, my mom and father interacting. My mother and my stepfather were walking me down the aisle, which is important to me because my stepfather's been around my whole life and taken amazing care of me. So I was like happy about it. And, I thought maybe my mother and father would walk me down together, but that wasn't a good idea. So. Yeah. And it was kind of, so long story, we're at the venue kind of going through a walkthrough, and the guy hands us both these pamphlets, and like I didn't really think anything of it, but I saw his name on there, like, so I was like, okay, like my sister must have spoken to someone, I wasn't mad at her, but I was like, okay, maybe you should have told me this was happening.
Right. So that is a huge surprise.
That was the big surprise, and I'd say the other awesome surprises, I think, when you're at a wedding and you're an adult, 39 years, and we're obviously far away in California, it was very cool to just see the people that came out to support it.
Right. That's awesome.
So I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but I was surprised at myself for actually being a little bit nostalgic and, I don't know, just appreciative of, like, my friends from Florida that own the box here that were there, or a couple of the people that
Right.
came from my old box, or the people I work with on the weekends. It was just really cool to see that, when you sat back and looked at it, like, wow, these people came out to support us.
Great. Those are great answers. Just so the tribe, I already know this answer, but just so the tribe knows, about how many people did you guys have at this wedding?
I think we wound up having like 60 on the dot, so like small, but not too small. It wasn't like super intimate, but it was awesome that I got to, literally spend time with everyone there.
Right. No, that's the perfect size. That's great. All right. Oh, go ahead.
No, just everybody going into it was like, hey, just so you know, the wedding is like, you don't get to time to yourself or this and that. And I didn't really feel that way. I actually felt like, we got to enjoy everything. The only thing we missed a little bit were the, appetizers that went out while we were doing pictures, but they saved us a bunch. And
important.
Yeah, it was cool. I really felt like I got to enjoy the night.
That's great. That's as you should after putting all the time, money, and effort into it that you and Roz both did.
Yeah, it was. She did it all. Just for the record, she did
just
amazing.
For the record.
Yeah,
that.
The effort and energy and time she put into it was amazing, and I did literally nothing, nothing, and she crushed it.
Sounds like my own wedding. All right, so moving on to question number 2. Let's get a little mushy. So, what was the absolute best moment of that day, or of the whole wedding weekend even? So from rehearsal all the way through when you guys left for your honeymoon, what was that, best moment that when you think of your wedding, you're gonna think back on that one moment?
Oh wow, that's a good question. The reception was amazing. Our pastor wasn't a religious, it was actually like 8 different religions kind of combined into one. We broke a glass, we did that. But she gave a great kind of sermon, if you will, about how a marriage is similar to picking up a barbell, which was really cool.
Oh, that's great.
But I don't, I think the best moment to me was our first dance.
Oh, yeah. What'd you dance to?
We danced to a song called Waiting for Real Life to Begin by Colin Hay. So,
putting that on my Spotify as we speak.
If you ever watched the movie Garden State, which is
can't say I have.
It's you and Jack have to watch Garden State together. It's a tearjerker.
Yes.
But it's an amazing soundtrack from the 90s, and this guy Colin Hay, he was in a band called Men at Work. You're like, we come from the land down under, like that song.
Oh, of course.
So he has a little solo career, but point is, long story short, hung out with Roz in California like a year ago. Well, over a year ago now, but for our, we had like our little first date at the donut shop. That was it. Like, we just kind of like went our ways. Like, nothing much beyond that, except we realized there was something there. But I got on a plane on my way home. It was after the CrossFit Games, and I was listening to the Garden State soundtrack. And on Spotify, like sometimes like songs will just go into other songs like that are on there somehow.
Yeah.
So this song came on by Colin Hay after his other song, and it was like the perfect song for.
Oh, that's great.
And I had never heard it before, but I had listened to his other song like thousands of times.
Yeah.
So I was like, sent it to her, and it kind of became our song when she came to visit for the first time. We like danced to it in my closet before she left. So it's always like, that's gonna be our song, and it still is. Only reminds me of her. And so I think like in that moment there, because I was like, she was trying not to cry, and I wasn't crying, but it was getting me there, and I was like, it was really cool that we had like an intimate moment in front of other people.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, what a good answer, Jason.
I'm
all
trying.
right, so very good. I hope Roz is listening, just like gushing over all of your nice words.
No, hopefully she doesn't gush anymore, but I don't know if you hear it, every like few minutes there's a barbell dropping in the garage. She's working out.
Oh, good for her. So, okay, so let's keep it, now let's make it a little funny. So, did anything go wrong that turned out to be a funny or a great story? So, for example, Jack's transportation took him 15 minutes in the wrong direction, and it ended up turning into this most gorgeous photo op that they had of me waiting in this restaurant for Jack to get there because it was raining outside. So that was one of my favorite moments. So anything funny go wrong that turned out to be like actually great?
I don't think anything really went wrong, which is probably a credit to how hard Roz worked. I think,
So true.
the bubble machine like came without bubbles and she was scrambling a bit. But no, the only thing I can think of which was like kind of funny, but the bridesmaids all put on their dresses and they were all super long. So they were standing on the, we all stayed at this Airbnb and they were standing on the table cutting each other's dresses. But I really don't think so. Actually, I do have one thing. So the night before, we had our like rehearsal dinner, which was probably like half the people came because so many people from out of town, and my parents had paid for it, but there was like a minimum. So regardless of what everyone ate, we had to hit a number.
Sure.
It was like a few $1,000s, like a nice place, and so the night comes and I'm kind of in charge at this point. They're like, hey, this is your bill. You didn't hit the minimum, so you could basically keep ordering until we do. Like, you have to pay this regardless.
Right.
I was like, and knowing my background, I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna eat that much, and we're gonna drink that much. So what really happened is like, hey guys, like you need to drink more. And I was like, bring out some drinks, and people would just grab them. So at this point in time, we may have each had, Roz and I, a glass of wine or two. They bring out these chocolate espresso martini things.
Oh my gosh.
They were like, you could barely taste the alcohol and it just tasted like delicious hot chocolate. And I had like one because I can feel it and I'm like, I don't drink that often. Like I didn't want to get drunk and feel crappy. Well, Roz hadn't ate enough all day and she had like probably 3 or 4. And that was probably the first time I'd seen her like seriously drunk. We get back to the Airbnb, she's vomiting.
Oh, Roz, no!
So that was the big deal. That was she was hungover, most of the next day getting ready for the wedding.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Roz, those drinks like that will get you. I have been there once or twice.
Yeah, they tasted delicious and they were just going down so easy.
I hear you. Well, oh my gosh, poor Roz. Well, hey, that's a very good story. So anything else? We have one nutrition question just around special occasions and the holidays, but anything else you think what was the best donut from your wedding? That donut wall that I need at all events going forward.
The cronut.
Oh man, that was easy.
That cronut was so good. I mean, all of the donuts were amazing and I think we ordered like 200. A lot of people took them home, but we probably had like 30 to 40 left over, and we were just the next couple days once we hit the road after the wedding, we took them with us, and we were just crushing them. They were so good.
Oh, that's great. Good answer. All right, so speaking of being on the road, like a lot of us are going to be for the holidays, I think a lot of people go into the holidays with some stress about eating because, we have so many family events, but we want to stay on track. So how do you guys, maybe you and Roz do it differently, how do you guys find balance during the holidays of still enjoying yourself and not stressing out, but not considering the entire month of December a special occasion day?
No, and
any tips for the tribe?
Yeah, I mean, clearly we're getting lots of questions on that, and while this is a great time of year, it's also a stressful time of year. And I will say, if you're talking to us, let me answer what you asked us specifically. I would say we're not faced with a ton of those crazy situations because we don't have a normal job where, coworkers are bringing this in. Like, we'll have a gym party that we go to and, a few family things, but we don't have a crazy holiday-oriented family to begin with, and she's not going to Cayman because of her immigration stuff, so we're not faced with too many. But I would say, you definitely have to find that balance of, okay, I'm going to enjoy life, but I'm also, part of enjoying life is knowing you're healthy and being happy with what you see in the mirror every day.
True.
So I would say a few tips would be maybe pick 1 or 2 of those days and say, okay, these are my days where if I go over, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So whether it's actually Christmas or if you celebrate on Christmas Eve or whatever that day is for you. Say, okay, I'm still gonna track. You know, I don't think you should have a day where you don't track, but say I'm still gonna track. But if I happen to go over my fat by 20 grams, that's okay today.
Right.
The rest of your days, do your best to plan that day out in advance.
Right. Good advice. That's what I'm gonna try to follow. Jack's parents are divorced, so we always have like 17 Christmases. So that's the advice I'm gonna try to follow once we head home. Well, Jay, that's all I had prepared. I tried to send Jay these questions before, but I'm glad I didn't because I think these were such good answers.
I don't like preparing for anything in life, so I don't like chatting real time. So that was perfect.
That was perfect.
Well, we are gonna have you back on again. We appreciate you helping out with the podcast and great questions.
Anytime. I love to hear myself talk, so I would be happy to help you guys out anytime with this.
We are a perfect match. Well, give Jack a big hug and a kiss for me and tell him I will see him soon.
I will. All right, I'll talk to you soon, Jay.
You got it, Ellie. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Good luck at trivia.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Ellie, for interviewing me. It was really great to sit back, think about the wedding. Flies by. Like I said, luckily, Roz and I were able to enjoy it and really spend some time. Tons of people from the tribe were there, and it was really special for us to have all the people come support us. Anyway, we'll be back next week. It's becoming a priority of mine, and whether Roz will be on with me, Ellie Kelly will be on, or I'm by myself, don't forget, head over to the tribe, ask us some questions, and if we answer or I answer your question, you are entered to win some pretty amazing prizes. You can check out all of our sponsors over at our website, ownyoureating.com. There's a link in that header for items we love. All of the sponsors, all of the prizes that we will be giving out are products we support, products we use. So check it out. It was great to be back, and I'm looking forward to being back more often on the Own Your Eating podcast. Have a great rest of your day.